I can't even explain this one. I was in 7th grade, and it was a typical after-school day. I was at my friend Maria's house. It was about 6 p.m., and Maria and her mom had gone to the corner market to get something real quick. I said I was fine staying there alone. I watched half of a movie and then I got bored. It was about 6:45. I decided to do something that wasn't meant to be played with. Bloody Mary. Now, I know all the stories you've heard, maybe you believe them, but at the time, I thought the story was stupid. I read how to play it and I went into the bathroom. I stepped on the cold tile of the floor and looked at myself in the mirror. I started daydreaming and going into a daze, thinking. I turned off the lights. Had no phone on me. It was just me, some candles, and the mirror. I grabbed a lighter in my pocket and set the candles on fire. I set one candle on the corner of the sink table. I set the other in front of the mirror. The third, I held right below but in front of my face. I stared at the mirror and said slowly, "Bloody Mary." It took me about 30 seconds just to say the bloody part. I was starting to get kind of scared. I tried not to wimp out, but something told me to stop. I didn't listen. I refused. I wanted to know what she looked like and if she was real. After the first time I said her name, I said it again. This time, taking me even longer to get the words out. I started feeling hot. My skin felt like it was going to melt, burst into flames. I thought about all the horrible stuff, all the bad stories I had heard about doing this, the whole meaning behind her, and I saw a spark behind me, behind the shower curtain. I started to say my third Mary when my heart felt sick. I felt dizzy, but I was curious. I wasn't going to give up. As I started to say my last Mary, I was super hot, shaking, and just really scared now. I could barely stand up. I very slowly said bloody, and this sharp, piercing cold wind and chill came across me out of nowhere. It all happened so fast I didn't even realize the curtain had opened, but I did notice an ugly figure in the corner closet. I saw her face. She had a very weird and creepy smile. Her skin was cracked. She was bleeding from her eyes and had a pale face, thin lips, dark eyebrows, and blackish hair. I started regretting everything. I wanted this to stop. I wanted to just go and dance and be happy and not be where I was. She started coming closer to me. As I looked in the mirror, she comes closer and closer, holding both her arms out towards me. I saw a white light and my face began to sting. My heart felt like it was going to explode. All of a sudden, she stopped and put her fingers to her lips as if she was telling me to be quiet. The door swung open and the light turned on by itself and all the candles blew out. I stood there breathless, motionless. Maria asked me, "What are you doing?" She saw the mark in the mirror of a handprint. She noticed how white I was, and to my surprise, the curtain was back in place how it had been when I entered the room. I collapsed, and luckily she caught me. I told her what happened and she believed me. A month later, she moved away. I've never played the game since then. You can believe me or not, I don't care. I know what I saw, and I know what I experienced. This is a very touchy subject for me. The whole Bloody Mary thing is true, and I know it is. This took place in a small town on June 22nd, 1999. In the Moreau evening newspaper, there's an article about my best friend Mike. We were only 13 at the time, you know, the age of curiosity and the first time hearing the legend of her. It was around 10 or 11 at night. The moon was covered by trees, so there was very little light. We both wanted to try it out, but to this day I'm glad I never went in with him. He went into the bathroom by himself. He thought it wouldn't work if we both tried at the same time. The legend we heard was that you had to light 6 candles, write 666 on the mirror with anything red, we used lipstick, and say her name 6 times. My friend did these things, and I heard him say, Bloody Mary. Nothing happened for 10 minutes. He didn't make any noise, and I could still see the lights from the candles under the bathroom door. I didn't think much of it and went downstairs to get something to drink. When I came back, I was a little worried because I could see no candlelight and the bathroom door was locked. I pounded on the door until his dad asked what I was doing. His dad believed that we had accidentally locked the door, so he got his lockpick set. When he got the lock undone, the door was stuck. When we pushed on it, after about 15 minutes of pushing, there was a thump, and when the door opened, my friend was kneeling on the ground, and his head was in the sink. My friend died doing this stupid legend. So please, don't any of you make the same mistake. My friend had a slumber party, and they dared her to do Bloody Mary. You know, go into the bathroom, turn off all the lights, light a candle, and chant her name 13 times, and she'll appear. For about 15 minutes, nothing happened. Then we heard her scream, and she tried to get out of the bathroom. The door was stuck, but it didn't have a lock on it. Whenever we got her out, she was crying and whimpering like a madman. We asked her what happened, and she showed us her arms. There were all these scars that had never been there before, at least 20 of them. A few days later, they disappeared, and she won't tell us what happened or what she saw when we ask her about it. She just looks at us in a hateful way. One time, she said she wished it would have been Jenna that did it, because it was Jenna's dare in the first place. This is a very true story about you-know-who. I never speak her name anymore. That happened to me one night when my parents were away. My older brother dared me to do the ritual and summon her spirit, and I didn't believe that it was true, so I did it, thinking it would be good for a laugh afterwards. I went into the bathroom, turned off all the lights, turned around 7 times while saying her name on each turn. Then I stopped turning and faced the mirror. I waited in silence for something to happen. I was about to give up and leave when I heard a woman singing. I turned slowly back to the mirror and I saw her. She had long, dark brown hair that was soaked in blood. Her neck looked like someone had just slit her throat. I screamed instantly. My brother started banging on the door and turning the lock. She became angry. She was smiling at first, but now she frowned and reached out through the mirror with one bloody arm and slapped me, scratching me on the right side of my face. I felt her nails strike so hard that I was knocked to the floor and my head slammed against the side of the bathtub. I was unconscious. When I woke, I was in the hospital with bandages across the right side of my face. My brother was whispering apologies to me that I could barely understand. My parents were also there. As soon as I opened my eyes, they rushed to my side. I discovered that my brother had told them that one of my many cats had scratched me and I had fallen. I'd been scratched by my cats before, so they believed us. On that same night, we got a call from my aunt. My uncle had died in the same hour that I was attacked. I know it could just be a horrible coincidence, but I believe that she killed my uncle. Every story I've ever read has said that she will only come attack you and not your loved ones, but I don't care what the stories say. I still think she killed my uncle. The attack was a year ago, and to this day, I still can't see out of my right eye. A couple of years ago, I was at school, and some of my friends were talking about the Bloody Mary myth. Angela dared me to go into the school bathroom and do it. So about 5 of us piled into the bathroom and locked the door. One girl turned off the lights and everyone got really quiet. I stood in front of the mirror with everybody surrounding me. I chanted her name and said I killed your son 13 times, just like in the myth. Nothing happened, so all of us started to chant. We got up to 7 times, and then we heard a bang coming from one of the stalls. A small flickering light appeared in front of the mirror like a candle. It gave us just enough light to see each other. I was looking into the mirror and it looked like Angela was bleeding from her eyes. One girl started to get a nosebleed. All of a sudden, the hair on my left side turned red. I normally have curly hair, but when it's wet it goes dead straight. And the red part of my hair was hanging totally straight. When I touched it, I realized that my hair was soaked to the point of dripping with blood. I screamed and tried to turn on the lights, but they wouldn't turn on. We tried to unlock the door, but the door wouldn't budge. We heard a high-pitched scream come from the mirror. The lights came on and the door swung open all on its own. We all ran out, and to this day, I still have a small scar in the back of my left earlobe that looks like a scratch. I don't recommend you try to do this ritual at school or even in your own home, but if you do, be careful. Draw a ring of salt around you and don't break the ring or step outside of it. It's better to be safe than sorry. And as it turns out, we didn't use this precaution. I was only 7 at the time. A few friends and I went to a bowling alley. Now, our parents belonged to a bowling group, so we just chilled at the arcade part. One of the other kids told us a story about Bloody Mary. My friends and I didn't believe them. So me and 2 of my friends went to the men's restroom. All we had was a flashlight. We turned off all the lights and chanted her name over and over. My one friend then flashed the flashlight on and quickly off. I looked at the mirror, and there was a girl. She looked like she was in her early 20s. She was looking the other way, yet started to turn towards us. My friends and I bolted out of there before she attacks us, like the legend says. After this experience, I feel like someone is always watching me. I haven't tried contacting any other spirits after this. A few months later, my dad died. Could she have driven him crazy enough to kill himself? Could this spirit be so full of rage it drives people to shoot themselves? Ever since this happened, my moods are different. I'm 15 and some days I just suddenly go into depression. Some days I just want to curl up and die. Could this be her revenge for summoning her all those years ago? My friends who did this with me all stopped talking to me. I met one recently and he seems okay. I wonder if I was the only one that's seen her that day. I wonder if she's only after me. If she is, I don't know why. This may have happened a while back, but I can still feel the after effects.